Hey everybody, you're listening to the Hisessions Hawaii podcast where we talk about everything local and beyond. I'm John Yamasato, your host, and joining me today is Mr. Kyle Shimabukuro.
How's it?
Devon Nekoba.
What's up?
Before we begin, let me remind our listeners of all the ways they can stay in touch with the show. There's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Hisessions. You can go to SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts to listen to the podcast. And finally, you can email us at hisessions@yahoo.com. If you'd like to help the show, get more music on the channel, please go to patreon.com and donate, Patreon. There you get more involved with the show and help determine who and what is filmed. We have 2 new patrons this week,
Oh, right on.
Darla and Lisa. Thank you, Darla and Lisa, for signing up. But again, I don't know what is going on because I message everybody once they sign up, where can I send your shirt to you, or whatever. And no one's been responding to my messages, so I don't know what's going on. So Darla and Lisa, no, it's through the Patreon site. So I don't know if maybe people are not checking the Patreon messages.
Lisa, right?
Lisa, yep.
Darla, Lisa, if you're not getting messages from him, I don't know.
Let us know. You email me at hisessions@yahoo.com and we'll get that taken care of. Because I want to get everyone their swag,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You pay that money.
That's right.
Right.
I'd like to thank Kupukupu Landscaping, landscape architects. You can call Kevin Yokomura. Dang, I still do that to this very day. They've been our sponsor for like a year, and I still say Okamura. 808-722-8685 for a free estimate, or you can go to kupukupulandscaping.com. Of course, thank you to Fort Ruger Market. Just ate there yesterday. Rugerlicious Poke Bowl. What can I say? Mm-hmm. And you can find Devon at Kumu 94.7 FM. You can go to highlifeclothing.com to find Kyle. Are you guys doing okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I went and saw the store actually today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
You went to what?
It's cool. I mean, I didn't get to go in the store, but I went, hey, look, the store. And I had to leave.
Next time, go inside to look.
I wanted to, but I didn't have time.
Okay.
I will do so. Now that I know exactly where it is.
Were you eating downstairs?
No.
Oh.
All right.
I don't want to get in trouble for eating before I got here.
Yeah.
So
I see.
I don't eat.
You wouldn't get into trouble. We just make fun of you.
We know he ate before he came.
I did not eat.
He was at the Yokocho place, he ate.
No, I did not.
Okay, anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
So our guest today is Zachary Lum.
Woohoo!
Zach is a musician and 1/3 of the award-winning group Keauhou.
Keauhou.
Winning. Sorry. Winning, not grinning. Although you do
We can grin.
He did smile.
Yeah.
You do a lot of grinning when you play.
Here and there.
Yeah.
I've seen them play a bunch of times. They're excellent. And they do a lot of grinning.
Yeah.
But what prompted me to have Zach come in is he's been working with a new nonprofit, and it's super interesting, super good stuff, and I wanted to talk about that. So I'm looking at the webpage now, Kahuli Leo Lea, and so we'll talk about that.
Sure.
But first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Pandemic was okay. We were talking about that over lunch a little bit.
Well, he had a baby over the COVID, so
Yeah,
it's going well.
Yeah, me and my wife are a little bit traumatized, as I'm sure many new parents are who had a baby during the pandemic. But yeah, my son was born in August 2020, so think about where you were.
Yeah.
2020.
I do have to say, though, it must have been very stressful during the birth period. But after that, I mean, most people are stressed out because they're like, I only got a few days before I got to go back to work. But you probably had a good amount of time to kind of sit and be a dad.
It was nice to really have a really good reason to stay home and not go out. The only hard part too, though, was that my wife's from Maui. Half of my son's family's from Maui. He went on his first flight at 1 month years old.
Wow.
1 month old, 1 month years old. You know what I mean? Yeah.
1 month years.
Yeah. 1 month years.
So okay, so you've been doing all that, but have you guys been playing a lot, or?
During the pandemic, there are, and I'm sure this is the case with so many other people too. Of course, there was all of the hardship that came with it, but there were also these silver lining opportunities that kind of came about. And I think for us, a lot of that was just something like this podcast, right? Creating virtual spaces to have music or to create things that we think are important. So, as far as music, I think for Keauhou, I can't even remember. I think it was 2021. We went into the studio and recorded, because what else we was doing.
Sure.
And then we didn't release it till a few months ago. So it was just kind of like this weird space where like, yeah, let's create stuff and yeah, let's sit on it a little while, and no pressure to really I guess we didn't feel too much pressure to like, oh, we got to be producing, we got to be doing this. We really took it in stride.
You had time to fine tune and stuff too.
Yeah, it was nice to just kind of like, sit back a little bit. Yeah.
Is it weird to listen to the music now that you've released it and go, huh, wow?
Oh, totally. Like that's the process for like every one of the albums that we've done, like whether it's Keauhou or others. It's like I take some time to like not listen to it because during the whole mixing and all of that producing stuff, right? It's like, oh, I hear all the this and the that. But months later you listen to it, it's like, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Does it suck?
Where'd you guys record at?
We usually record with Michael Grande.
Okay.
Yeah, so their new studio is at in Kapalama actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've been there, right?
Well, I just went there for the first time this past week.
Nice.
It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's
I was super surprised.
Yeah.
Compared to where they were recording before.
Yeah,
It's like a palace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of parking and
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
a score.
church upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So Sundays are a little busy over there.
But other than that,
Like there's a lot of parking, a lot of space, and I thought it was great.
I was trying to figure out what the relational was there. Like, there's a church upstairs, and we feel, I don't know, good with God every time we go in and record.
there's a crematorium next door, so I don't know if there's a connection there.
If the thing sucks, you just take it and chuck them in the crematorium.
That's great. Yeah, you're a Kamehameha School grad, right?
Yep.
I feel
What
like-
year?
Try guess.
I'd say like
So obviously, way after the 2000s.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I know a little bit more because we filmed them, so I think it's 2011.
Yeah, it's
2012?
2010.
Yeah, okay.
I'll take the 15 though. So.
Yeah.
yeah, you look young.
Why you be older?
Well, what are you?
No, 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2010. We starting this podcast in 2010. Feels like that's how young he is.
I know, it's crazy.
But I feel like you guys have been really Hawaiian culture and those who have been trying to promote it have really been on the forefront of some of these technological advances too, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think our very humble contribution to that is trying to just figure out how do we create like really cool content beyond music, right? Like events, films, that kind of stuff, and make it tell a story and make it, blow it up in a way where it's not just music for music's sake or entertainment for entertainment's sake. It's really entertainment and more.
Right. So explain a little bit about Kahuli a little bit. And I know you have I'm not going to read the mission and stuff. I'll let you talk about it. But I like this talk about mele versus Hawaiian music.
Oh, okay.
Because I grew up, very close to Dennis Kamakahi.
Yeah.
And he wrote mele, he wrote songs, and these songs all had stories, and so I like this. I like where your head is at with this. So talk a little bit about it.
I think it's cool because I love talking about this, and this is actually like part of what I'm writing for. I'm in a PhD program, so like where my dissertation is going to be a lot about like trying to define what mele is and trying to define Hawaiian music, et cetera. But the more I talk about it, the more I write about it, the more I realize like the definition is the trap. It's like as soon as you say it's this and only this and nothing but that is wrong. So the way that I start to like try and articulate stuff now is like it's this area, and there's no edges. It just kind of like fades into whatever the next area is, right? So I guess for me, like the difference between mele and Hawaiian music is that mele has this Hawaiian language perspective, right? Hawaiian music is more like auditory, more audible. It's about the audible experience. But when you apply mele, whether it is Olelo Hawaii based or it's just adopting the values that the Olelo Hawaii lyrics provide, then mele is about saying one word and meaning three. You know what I mean? Like being able to tell you something, and if you're privy to it, and if you know how to read it, then I'm talking about something else too, right? And that's super like common in how everybody, it's humor, it's the way we communicate, not just in Hawaiian, but just local people do that, right? the references, like the sly jokes, like you say one thing, you mean another thing. But the whole system of composition for mele in Hawaiian language is based off of that. So it's like a capsule, right? Like you take this pill and you're going to get all of this information. And then now I get to deliver it not as like this paper or this letter. It's a nice song. So I guess for us, Kahulilela is the opportunity to really pull apart the value of that. Because imagine if we can, and we do already, imagine if there was a critical mass of people who had literacy in something like mele or in something like that kind of stratified communication. Now we can share stories at multiple levels when I just sing a song, or when you just see a video, or when you watch a concert. You know what I mean? Like being able to promote that as a way as a knowledge system. Really, that's really what we're trying to do. Mele is a tool.
Well, and I think you talk about this on the website, but mele was the way that stories were communicated over generations, right?
Yeah.
In the past, so you're just trying to perpetuate some of that.
And
storytelling.
Totally. And, there's this big, there was and still is this big movement toward trying to digitize all of these Hawaiian language newspapers, right? Biggest written archive in the Pacific, right? And a lot of that is mele, right? So you think about like, okay, cool, written archive. What happened before that? That's all. The entire written archive is based on what was passed down orally. So the question that this begs ends up being, because we're so reliant on what we know from a written perspective, can we imagine a world where we didn't write and we didn't read, but knowledge, what we knew, what we thought, what we told our kids was only oral? How would we know things differently, And the proof is in the proof is in the newspaper. The proof is in the fact that we have the largest written archive, right? Because that's all knowledge that wasn't written down at one point. You know what I mean? So some opponents could say, nah, we can't remember this, million line chant of this and this and that. Well, how do you explain the fact that we have it written down now, though? So we're also looking at mele from the perspective of like, oh, this is a skill that we perhaps have been atrophied in us, and maybe we can bring that back too, because it changes how we know stuff.
Oh man, this got really deep, really fast.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go there. That's why I had to like preface. Like I've been thinking about this from a dissertation perspective. You know what I mean? It's like, anyway, back up to the surface.
But it's really, I mean, it's fascinating because I think when people, you go to a hula show or you listen to somebody play Hawaiian music, right? And as soon as you said the different meaning thing, I remembered, when you're a kid and you're listening to a song like Noho Pai Pai, which is, about a rocking chair.
Yeah.
Except it's not really about a rocking chair.
Right.
It's about something else.
Right.
And you go, huh. And I think that was one of the first times that I'd heard that.
Yeah.
And then other friends who are in Hawaiian music are like, oh no, bro, every song is about sex. Or something. You know what I mean? Or it has some sort of a reference
Is that
to
the
it.
definition like kauna too?
I think, and you funny because I intentionally tried to dodge that term because I think there's different understanding of what kauna is and what it can be.
What is the difference?
I don't know, to be honest, because I think there are different, like, some people say it's this and some people say, well, it's kind of that, but it's also this. But I think for me, it's more about like, there's hidden meaning and then there's meaning that I didn't mean to say, but you made up because you heard the song. I don't know if that's kauna, but you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
But I guess my point is like, because mele is the way it is and because Olelo Hawaii works the way it works, when I say something, you might interpret it different, but it doesn't invalidate what you think it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because this song make you think about your loved one or whatever, well, that's not why I wrote it. But that doesn't invalidate the fact that you feel that way because of the mele.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's open to interpretation, which is very important, I think, right? As far as sharing the music that you're making. That's really cool, man. That's a neat. Sorry, the other song that I thought of, and it was only because we were in the concert, is when Kili was playing. I forget who. We were at the Blaisdell, and it's just him playing guitar.
Yeah.
And he said, "I wrote this song, Ipo Le Momi," and we went, "Oh, yeah, I know that song." And he goes, "Let me tell you what the song is about." He explains the song. You go, "Oh my God!" And now every time I hear somebody dance to that song, sing that song, I'm like, I know what that song is about. Oh my God. You know, and all you think while you're listening to it is, what a jaunty little tune about a black pearl. And then once he explains it, it becomes a completely different song. And you go, wow.
Yep.
And music has the ability to do that. So when you folks write now, or have you always tried to write with that in mind? Or does something come in and you go, okay, we're going to write them like this, but, you know, maybe all these different layers are in here?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting question because I think, like, in majority, we compose in Hawaiian. And, like, I'll be the first one to say, like, I'm still learning how that works because you go look at more older mele, I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, that language is, like, whole archaic and just, like, I don't know what it's being said. Like, you know what I mean? And
is it the combination of the words, or?
It's just, yeah. And it's, at the face value, you can understand, oh, yeah, that word means this. But what the heck are they talking about? You know what I mean? Like, how can you read it beyond just the surface? Yeah. Like, even Lili Okalani songs like that sometimes, right?
Would some stuff be just passed down incorrectly, though? That's why the words would be switched or changed? And then does it make sense from there, too?
Sometimes. I think that's sometimes the case, but I think that's also, like, the point that I'm trying to make, too, is that just because it's incorrect, more so incorrect is just a matter of how far it is from the intention of the hakumele, of the composer, right? Or is it just because I sang the song and I meant to write it about so-and-so and it makes you think about so-and-so, somebody else, doesn't make you wrong, right? It doesn't make you wrong. It just makes it different. So yeah. So my whole goal, part of it, is to kind of figure out, like, let's smash the whole right and wrong thing and just figure out, like, no, this is what the composer wanted. This is what its value is to you. Both of these have value, right? And we cannot shut that down, because once we shut that down, we're actually negating mele as a process of relationship, communication, knowledge, sharing knowledge, right? Because no, that's wrong. You wrong. That's not right, because I didn't write it that way, right? You shut down the whole system of being able to communicate with each other.
Okay.
Can I just for a second?
Yeah.
You have to. I apologize.
What?
But I like have obsessive compulsive disorder, and that chair is making noise.
Oh, do you hear it?
Okay, I can hear it.
I'm gonna.
Can I switch with you?
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Real fast.
Yeah.
You can ask your question.
I heard him too, but
you want to take a break?
Pause it? No. It'll be real fast.
Because
we can watch this happen now.
I know. I get to watch it happen live. Well, we may cut it out, because when I ask my question, it may become a whole thing. Because I realize my question may be a little controversial, and so we're probably gonna have to cut it out.
Controversial questions.
Because you touched on something that I find very fascinating.
Yeah.
In that, by now we all have people in our lives who are.
Thank you.
Who are, I would say, in certain ways, feel more connected or are more connected to the thing that makes them Hawaiian, which I think is very important. The renaissance that has happened, I think, is really important. My question is more regarding those of us who, don't have any blood. We're not, right? We love this place. We love being here.
Yep.
We love the culture, all of that stuff. But I'll be the first one to say I worked at a Hawaiian station for 10 years.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to say these words correctly.
Yeah.
However, I am so nervous now to say anything Hawaiian.
Yeah.
I cannot even say hau'oli lahanau to people on Facebook, because I'm scared if I spell them wrong, my friend will come out and come at me. Yeah. And the thing about it is, right? And so when you say stuff like, if you feel like this is the only right way and this is all wrong, then you're gonna cause the story. Yeah, it's like a separation, because I'm afraid to tell my friends words in Hawaiian, because I don't want to get it wrong and have them go right, and I go but that was, and then I meet Pukea Nogomaya and everybody from that generation, and they go, I don't care you say I'm wrong. You say I'm wrong, that's okay. We're going to teach you how to say I'm right. We're going to love you so much that you're going to want to get it right.
Yeah.
And then we won't have to worry about it, right? And that's the part that I sometimes worry about, is getting missed as we go farther down this road of understanding more about Hawaiian culture, in that there's almost a separation between them and us. And I'm like, no, but the kupuna that I remember, So I don't care. Everybody come in the pool. You Japanese? Yeah. We know you Japanese. We know you don't have Hawaiian, but it's okay. We can teach you what it's about.
Yeah.
So sorry, that was a very long question, but I wanted to kind of know what you felt about that.
Because so what you're articulating is something that we talk about a lot at so I'm doing indigenous politics, and that's something that we talk about a lot because there's this indigenous perspective, there's this what they call settler perspective, where it's like not that you weren't born here, but eventually your ties take you away from this land, right? And there are these things that people point out about either of these groups and other groups as well. But I so appreciate what you're saying because I think perhaps the difficulty that you're articulating as far as like, oh no, like you're scared to say it wrong because you're gonna get bashed, right? From my perspective, that is the being bashed part is part of the trauma that Native Hawaiians in general, have been subject to for generations. Right,
you cannot speak Hawaiian.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
But it's beyond just not being able to speak Hawaiian. It's the fact that somebody else took these opportunities to be who they are, and now that Hawaiians have all of these wonderful opportunities to reclaim. The motion is this. It's not, here you go. It's this because we got to make sure it's ours because I didn't have it a few generations ago, right?
No.
So the pendulum swings that way and then the pendulum swings the other way eventually, right?
Yeah.
But I guess for me, it's like I'm always trying to like get the pendulum to stop swinging and figure out how can we just be Native Hawaiian? Like how when you go to Japan, there are no hang-ups about being Japanese. You're Japanese, like that's it, right? Yeah. But when you're in Hawaii, Native Hawaiian it's a big deal to be Native Hawaiian because it wasn't a big deal before, because it was being suppressed at one time, right? Yeah. So again, you let the pendulum swing back and forth, then there's this, I guess, collateral damage that happens, right? Where it's like, oh no, I want to learn. It's like, no, it's not for you. And to be fair, sometimes, maybe certain knowledges is not for everybody. That's fine. But that's not that doesn't give the green light for somebody to be the Hawaiian language police on Facebook. Yeah. Right?
I have Hawaiian language police that are close friends of mine. They're actually kumu and like you probably know who they are. Yeah. And because I have
names.
I don't want to say
that. Names, but I always look to them for guidance.
Yeah.
And if they see a mistake that I make on a T-shirt or what, they'll call me. Yeah. And I say, hey, you forgot an okina or a kako? And I'm like, oh, thank you. But it doesn't come from a scolding perspective because I think they know my intent is not to be disrespectful.
Yep.
So I always look to them for guidance in that kind of situation because they know I'm not Hawaiian, but in certain instances I have to use a word or anything like that. I want to make sure that it's the right word.
Yeah, and I think we've all become pretty, like, not just Native Hawaiians, like everyone in Hawaii has become pretty hypersensitive to making sure that Hawaiian language is portrayed correctly. Yeah. Right. Like even up to the state government, right? Like the whole making sure that everything in English is also presented appropriately in Hawaiian language too, right? Because it's two official languages. So in this environment of hypersensitivity, I think it's also important for us to be able to, enjoy, right? Like we're always so like, oh God, like don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. But at what point can we actually just let down those barriers a little bit and celebrate each other, right? And I think that's where the mele part actually comes in because yes, this is Hawaiian language. Are you singing the right words? Yes, or or are you pronouncing it the way that I think you should? But is the music good? And if the answer is yes, there's still value there. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's still something happening. Maybe the language people are be like, that doesn't discount the value of what's happening.
Yeah. But somebody was showing me a book, a really old book that somebody had written, and it was all in Hawaiian. And she was like, do you see a kahako or an okina in here anywhere? And I'm like, no. She goes, that's because it didn't come out until after. Yep. And all of a sudden, everybody's into kahakos and okinas and everything. Yep. And she goes, you read this. you gotta know where the kahakos and the okinas go. It's not gonna tell you. And in the Hawaiian language, you can say the same word 2 different ways, and they mean 2 different things depending on how you say it, right?
Yep.
So it's more a function of context and understanding.
It was added
of
for
what you're trying to
educational
say.
purposes.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example. You know the Olelo no Eau book? The Olelo no Eau in that book was compiled in part by Mary Kavena Pukui, right? Matriarch of Hawaiian language, basically, right? Her orthography doesn't match today's.
Really?
Yeah. The way she spells certain stuff, no match to what we do today. So it's good to...
When you say it spells certain stuff, is it the letters or is it the correct like kako and okina
critical
and
marks?
Both.
Critical marks.
Both. Sometimes a word today we use it as 2 separate words. She put them together. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess, that's not to bash Mary Kavena Pukui anyway, but more so is to show that, like, we're still in a process of trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, language is fluid,
The
right?
language evolves,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is actually the best part about it. It means that the language itself is evolving, which is the thing that people worried about when, because Latin's a dead language because it never progressed. Whereas Hawaiian continues to...
Yeah.
There is a certain point where you reach right and wrong, though, I think.
Yeah.
Like, when somebody in the mainland spells poke the wrong way, it upsets me, and I'm not even Hawaiian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they put like cream cheese inside or what fruits or whatever. It makes me angry, and I'm not even Hawaiian.
Who's putting fruits in poke?
Oh, no, get, bro.
Mainland,
they put like watermelon.
Then they put
It's
fish.
just crazy.
Then you put fish inside. They call them poke.
Poke, yeah.
Okay, with an eye.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh.
So, I mean, even for me, that's where I draw the line where I get upset. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's not in my place to say that. You know what I mean?
do not mess with Kyle's food, man.
This guy's a connoisseur over here. No watermelon poke. No, like, to your point, like, there is wrong, but that's because I think we really got to, like, take one step back and look at, like, how do we determine what's right and wrong? And the wrong is defined by a majority of people saying it's wrong, right? So, like, it's still an agreement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so I'm agreeing with you in saying that, yeah, that's wrong because a majority of people would say that that's not freaking poke. You know what I mean?
No, but I think it's also wrong because if I was to ever start something and do something that's not of my culture, but I want to emulate it, I want to do it correctly in the beginning with the intent of doing it correctly.
Yeah.
Not just to go, don't spell them the way everybody says it.
Yeah.
And make it taste the way somebody would want it.
Yeah.
Then actually following what the tradition and the culture was and where it came from.
Yeah.
And respecting it.
Without mind, you're saying to where it comes from.
Yeah,
right?
that's where it upsets me.
Totally,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's why it's always fun when John is singing Hawaiian music.
Why?
Well, I have good intent.
Yeah.
No, he has good intent. It's great. But I remember, and I'm joking about you, but like Justin, I know Justin cut cracks, man.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, Justin Young. He did an album, and songs on it were Hawaiian, and people were like, "What you doing?" And they got really angry at him. And
I don't understand why.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
to the point where he didn't want to sing the songs, which to me is really sad because brother can sing.
Yeah.
Right, and that's to what you're saying, right?
Right.
Which is the mele. If the mele is beautiful for you and means something to you, then and he's singing it correctly. He's just a tall Chinese.
Why?
hooligan.
What was the issue, that he was pronouncing it wrong, or like what?
No, it's just that it was him.
I think they put him in a box when he first started his first album. He wasn't into that sound.
Yeah.
And then when he just did it because it's part of him and he wanted to do it, then he wasn't accepted, maybe. You know, and that's kind of sad. You know?
But people got mad at him to the point, really, for real. He, if I remember, John, you can correct me, but he didn't want to do the songs live because he was, at least not here, because he was afraid if he got up there and sang on stage that people would call him a poser or be mad at him.
I guess it's just one of these things. They just saw him as a pop
kind
of guy.
Put in a box.
It was a brand thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it was weird because it wasn't like he was singing badly. It wasn't that he was singing the words. In fact, he actually really worked to try to make sure his pronunciation was correct. I mean, because he had to deal with John, and John is very.
I try my best, like I get guys that know what they're doing more than me to kind of listen. And am I doing this correctly?
Well, you had all the uncles helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you had Dennis with you for how long?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it's all intent.
Yeah.
But I can't say anything because I'm not Hawaiian. But
that's not true.
Well.
Wait, let him finish.
Right?
Well, I mean, I can say like, hey man, like I don't think that's a good idea if you're singing it like that or something like that. But I don't like put myself as an authority or anything.
That's the part that's hard, I think, because I think we're so hypersensitive that we're only going to listen to who deems themselves authorities in Hawaiian language, right?
Yeah.
But if I say Waikiki and I say Waimanalo, you can say that that's pronounced poorly.
Yeah.
You don't need to be Hawaiian to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well,
I guess
I do it with the slack key though.
Yeah.
Because like people a lot of times they'll play stuff and call it slack key, and I'm like, I don't know if that's slack key, like slack keys. I'm a purist, so
yeah.
So I do.
There's the thumb doing the thing,
alternating bass lines.
Exactly.
You can say it, that's your version of, but I don't know if you'd,
But I remember you. I mean, you've said it before as well that there's a certain level for you, John, where you're like, there's. Right?
The slack key
there's
stuff?
some not the slack key stuff as much, but like Hawaiian language stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, like, you took classes,
Yeah.
You worked with some of the greatest Hawaiian music players that are out there and learned from them. You were on tour with Dennis, sitting in a room with him and a bunch of other guys, and all these amazing musical artists, and you definitely gleaned stuff from them. So for me, you have as much right to sing the music as anybody.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? See, but even then.
But there's a difference to me. Like when I watch YouTube or whatever, and you come across somebody in like the Philippines or wherever that doesn't say a lick of English, but yet they'll sing a Mariah Carey song.
Yeah.
And even if they're pronouncing certain words wrong, I don't get offended because I know that they're coming from a place of good intent. You know what I mean? Like they're trying their best.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to just like mock or disrespect anything.
Yeah.
And what you said, John, intent is the most, to me, the important thing.
And I think at the same time too, like somebody can have good intent, but it can still be, I'm not gonna use the word wrong. It can still be outside of the parameters of what most people think is correct, right? Yeah. Right? Because it's all just a gray scale. It's not like here's the line. Once you go past, you're wrong. It's not that simple, I think. So,
yeah. Well, one of the things that I was watching a video on the website about was this idea of the reuse of language in Mele, and how a lot of people do the same songs, but in Hawaiian culture that is not looked at as a negative thing.
Yeah.
So elaborate on that a little bit, because I thought that was interesting. Because everybody plays Noho Pai Pai or Wahine Ilikea. Everyone's got their own version of that song.
Yeah.
But it's not like covers on the mainland where it's like,
right.
Why are you covering
No
that?
Mustang Sally.
Yeah. But because it's part of the culture, and it tells the story about this place, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit. I thought that was interesting.
It was cool because like when I first started like learning about not just music but like IP, like intellectual property and all of that stuff, and how the music industry on the mainland, on the continent works, right?
Yeah.
There's this thing called cover songs, right? And I thought at first I was like, what's that? What's a cover song? Because all the songs we sing, 90% of the songs, the Hawaiian songs we sing, I never write.
Right.
They're either written way back where we don't know who wrote it, or maybe it was written by this person, given to that person, now that person owns it.
Yeah.
Or I wrote it or whatever, right? Like this idea that it was not an exception, but not the norm to sing somebody else's songs in like the Western music industry was really weird to me, because Hawaiian music is based on the exact opposite of that, right? It's like the more times Puahihi is sung, right, for a hula or for whatever, it garners value. It's not like, here comes another, knockoff. It's the opposite of that, especially when it's done well, right? So you mentioned like when folks, even in the composition process, right, there's a certain phrase that shows up in this mele, and then the more you dig, the more you realize, that verbatim verse is in this mele. And it happens again. And from a Western perspective, one would say, this is infringement, right? This is copyright infringement. But it's not, because from a Hawaiian perspective, what they're building is a network of knowledge. Because when I say, na pali hauliuli o na ko'olau, It means that the green, misty or shady cliffs of the Keauhou. If I say that phrase, everybody knows that we're talking about Kaneohe side. Okay? Now, I don't need to say Kaneohe anymore because now there are all of these mele that use the term Napali Hauliuli Onakola or the Napali Hauliuli, whatever, right? The fact that we get to reuse the same phrases or words in various mele, it connects the mele. It connects the experiences that are embedded within that mele. It connects the haku mele over generations, right? Because now the olelo becomes the source of not only community, but just the relationships in general, right? With place, with people, and that's because we share language. Because it's not like you stealing. It's like, no, what you said was so good, and it has all of these meanings to me that I'm going to use that same phrase, put it in my mele, because it's not just about the words. It's about everything that it was all the meanings that you already put in here, I'm going to use them there too. It's almost honorific.
Yeah.
What were you laughing at, John?
No, I was laughing because in my brain is so slow with the Hawaiian stuff. So should I say that again?
Napali Hauliuli Onakola.
So I'm like, okay, this Napali is multiple. Na is more Kola Mountains. Okay, that's how slow I'm going. And he's like off into the next sentence already. So like people go, oh, do you understand Hawaiian? I'm like, yeah, I know. But you got to give me quite a while, because I got to like word by word figure it out,
in our generation, Devin, I don't know if I can probably speak for you too.
Thanks.
We never had the opportunity to learn the language.
Yeah.
Right? And these kids nowadays, and maybe even you, and so they had the opportunity to learn. I learned my language from like singing kapena music. From Brothers Kaz and Kau Credo Boys. And we would play and sing, and we don't really know the meaning, Yeah. And now that we have the opportunity to, and these kids now have the opportunity, it gives a different perspective to what that song really means and how it's interpreted now.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, once you get into the meaning side of it, that's when things get interesting.
Yeah. But now I think, okay, was it disrespectful to be singing it wrong when I was a kid? Because I just used to love listening. I mean, even Kapena, like Tongan stuff, right? Like, tipi tipi hano hano. Like, I don't know what that means, but I just sing it.
No, but it's catchy.
But you're also, I mean, you're a little kid, so I think there's a...
No, I wasn't little. I was in high school.
That's for them, that's little kid. Because you still, they're looking at you going, there's no way this Japanese boy knows what he's doing. So it's okay. We're going to let him go because he's enjoying the music. And then I think also, too, when we were coming up or when we were growing up, the people that would actually hear us sing that stuff are people like Pukea who would go, it's okay. Don't worry. They because they know that little piece of something is the thing that can drive you to looking deeper into it, right? So your appreciation grows.
Yeah.
Like he was saying, your appreciation grows instead of shrinks because they tell you, baby, just go. Just sing whatever you can sing. It's okay if you sing them bad. I don't really care because if you start to go, oh, that was kind of cool. Or maybe I'll learn this. Or maybe I'll learn this.
Yeah.
Right? And so it does a perpetuating
Well, I mean,
thing.
like...
But if they tell you, you cannot sing that song, then you go, oh, shit.
No, I would have been
You
bummed.
close the door.
Yeah,
I would have been bummed out, right?
So,
Because I love Kaviko.
Yep.
But I never knew what it was.
Or
what it meant. You listen to Keen Fire, you listen to, like, Kyle Credo Boy singing, and you just automatically learn how to sing it.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you're singing.
Right.
And now, as I'm older, I want to know, but I never had the opportunity when I was a kid.
So it's really cool, your story, because my story is pretty much the same thing. Like,
really?
I never grew up speaking Hawaiian language. Like, I grew up on the Japanese side of my family, half Japanese, so like all the Japanese grew up Japanese basically. Went to Kamehameha, did not take Hawaiian language. I was in like concert glee and band, and my mom was like, "You should take Japanese because Japan." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." But it was
look at you now.
But every Japanese parent.
Exactly. So, but then what was so junk for me at the time, I was like, no, I really want to learn Hawaiian because all my friends are learning Hawaiian, and like. I was the one singing a lot of these Hawaiian music, the Hawaiian music, and I didn't really like know exactly what was going on. Yeah. But like I go to UH and then I take the placement test, right? Never took Hawaiian, but I placed into 201.
Wow. Because of the music that
because I know what sounds wrong.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
So it's the same thing, right? It's you know the songs, right? And it's like Yeah, I don't think I should say it like that because I've never heard it like that in a mele before.
Yeah.
So like mele really became the opportunity for me to learn language. And then yeah, I ended up getting like my degree in Hawaiian language for my bachelor's. But then if it wasn't for mele, I wouldn't have had the desire to soak it up like a sponge. You know what I mean?
It's you're right. I mean, it's an opening point for a lot of people because they hear the music and they go, oh, yeah, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's not to say that lickings is bad either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all need lickings every once in a while to aunties coming by and say, that's not how you sing it, dear.
Yeah.
I said, sorry, auntie. You know what I mean? Like that's good too. We're not unhinged either.
But I think when aunties correct you in that way, it has a different feel because it's not a I'm scolding you.
It's coming from love.
Because it is. They just want you to do better. They want you to sound better and they want to help you get to that point. When I was growing up, my parents had Sunday Manoa. They had guava jam in the house. My mom would play guava jam all the time. So when you said Kavika, I went, because I knew the song.
Yeah.
And then when we moved here, when I was like 11 years old, my parents left the album, so I never heard it again. And then it came out on CD when I was in college.
Yeah.
And I bought the CD and I listened to Kavika and I went, hey, I know the words to this song.
Yes.
And this was before the time where I realized that it was a chant, that there was all this culture that's steeped into the song. So, you screw them up, it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
But I just sat there going, why do I know the words to this song? Why do I know? I don't understand. Like, and again, like you, I had no idea what the words were, but I went, oh, that's neat. Right on. And it fosters that interest in the music, like you were saying.
I have a weird, stupid question.
It's probably not stupid.
I don't know.
Every podcast I gotta ask one stupid question, right? So let's say Kavika, for example, that song. It was I don't know how old that song is. I would assume it's
the chant is actually
from a chant.
Yeah.
Monarchical.
But during the chant part of it, back in the day, was da 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 part of the chant? Was it taken by somebody else?
That was Peter Moon.
Peter Moon.
How did that become accepted?
It's cool because like, I've had conversation with my Kumo about this, but with Robert about this because Sunday Manoa and I think at that point he was talking about they weren't I hope I say this the way that he said it to us, is like their intention was not to create the Renaissance, even though they did. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were just having fun, right? So there was this maybe openness to like try things that were new. But look at what that resulted in, right? It's like, wow, this is a rock lick with a Hawaiian song about Kalakaua.
Did they ever get slack? Did they ever get slack?
They got blasted for
it. So let me put it this way, and I love talking about this too because Kahuana Lake Trio, right? Okay. Today, traditional Hawaiian music, they got bashed. They got bashed in their time. Gabi Pahinui. Yeah. Bashed that in their time because language or whatever. My kumodem too, Sunday Manoa, Brothers Casimiro, like he would tell us stories about, they would get comments like, oh no, you're bebopping the music too much, right? Like, so there's always like this cutting edge music that happens to move all of us forward, and it's not necessarily always accepted in its time. And then in hindsight, we look back and it's like, wow, these are classics. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. No. So it's this time thing where it's like they're always pushing us forward.
Well, I mean, Robert is the most revered person in Hawaiian music. Yeah. And to think that he started, the Sunday Manoa thing where they were getting just... I mean, I remember myself when people were saying, you can't listen to that music. That's rock music with Hawaiian, with chanting. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? Yep. What is right? And you go, okay, I'm going to listen to this.
But imagine the people that didn't take it as I'm going to keep pressing forward with this and stop because they were told to stop.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're missing out on a bunch of stuff that could have happened.
But look at the waves that it created over decades because Peter Moon decided to rockify this. You know what I mean? It's like, was it traditional? No. Was it effective? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even Brother Nolan with his...
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. Another great one. Yeah. Yep. So it's like all of these different kind of the music part, the Hawaiian music part, right, pushes us forward. And then when we start to gain the literacy back of like learning to like read the mele and be able to figure out what's actually being said, imagine that experience. Then you're loving this music, and then you have an understanding of what it's saying, and then it's bringing you reminiscent memories of like where that came from, right? So now the music affects you fully, entirely, your entire being. It's not just an audible experience, right? It's an experience.
Yeah.
So couple more things.
Okay.
So tie that back into what you're doing right now with the melee and the web and all the web stuff and all that.
So folks may be aware of like melee.com. You know, people know that, and you know they were very well known for selling Hawaiian music CDs and stuff like that. So we're working with melee.com and planning to turn that into a streaming platform. Okay, so remember pre-pandemic when like never have Disney Plus and never have like okay, so like this opportunity to create an opportunity for streaming for Hawaii-based content creators, musicians, videographers, filmmakers, live streaming, etc. This wasn't possible 3 years ago. The pandemic made this possible because now there's a market for you to pay $15 a month and get all of this content on demand whenever you want, right? So the opportunity then, the economic opportunity actually is how come our community, our creative industry community can't have our own? Because right now we rely on a more wide system that's not necessarily built to our strengths. It's not built to what we can offer. And it's actually not built to what we can offer over the rest of the world, right? So how do we create a place, a virtual space where it's a one-stop shop for anything Hawaii content related, right?
Yeah, because you can't go on iTunes and get all amount of music. You know, and stuff like that.
Well, even when you go to like Spotify or whatever, you got to categorize yourself as world. And then find, you know, like sometimes don't even have Hawaiian. Like you got to put yourself in.
Or the stuff that they bring you is like from the 50s, and it's really lame. Like kachi weird stuff, and you go, what?
Are you guys gonna stream and start archiving stuff that weren't ever put to MP3 files or any type of stuff like that?
So the fun thing about this is that like we're not in the business of trying to be like a record label or like a recording studio or anything like that. We're in the business of creating a house, an apartment building maybe, for other people to put their own content in it. So we're not trying to I guess own anything, you know. We're just trying to make sure that the house is nice to the benefit of the people who own the rights to all of these content. And what that translates to is a substantially more amount of economic opportunity than exists otherwise. Right? Because all we're doing as a nonprofit, right? Like nonprofits have to use their money for programmatic purposes. If not, then we lose our nonprofit status with those particular funds, right? So as a nonprofit, we're set up to do this. You know, we're set up to take in this money, take a nominal fee for operating the house, for keeping the house clean, and then everybody else gets to sell their music based on how well they stream, how many views they have.
And sorry, is it all set up yet, or are we building now? We're just in the building process.
We're toward the end of the building process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it be like a subscription service like iTunes, or would it be like
both actually? So we there's going to be a free version where folks can just jump in, and you know we're talking about not just music, right? We're talking about like podcasts or videos or
books,
films. Books would have to be like
audiobook.
Audiobooks. But you know, that kind of content. We're not just talking about music and video.
Art too.
I don't know. You know that we've talked about that, but I don't know what it would look like in a digital space. You know what I mean? Like, what would that? How would you consume it from your computer?
I mean, right now it's NFTs, right? But
yeah. So it's that kind of concept, though, right? It's like we just want to create a situation in which folks can put their content here and make money more than they would elsewhere, right? So we're close to finishing. We already started making initial communications with folks that we do know in the creative industry, right? Because ultimately this is a creative industry kind of program, right? That it's to the benefit of those who operate within the creative industry.
That's cool, man.
That is awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
I have to ask one last question.
Sure.
Because Kyle said he was going to ask stupid questions, so I get my turn.
Okay.
So
it's got to be more stupid now.
It might be. Okay. It might be. Let's try it out. So you're talking about the connective tissue of the mele, right? So phrases and stuff. So haina.
Yeah.
Everybody knows in the Hawaiian song, when you sing haina, we're almost at the end of the song.
Yep.
It's the last. What is the deal with that? Because when it would always throw me off whenever you hear a song, right? People dancing hula, whatever, and you get haina, and then all of a sudden there's one song with no more haina.
Yeah.
And you go, wait, when does the song end?
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're talking about in terms of that connective thing? Because I don't know where that came from, but I know that every Hawaiian song, like the traditional
refrain.
Hawaiian songs,
Yeah.
right? That's the phrase. Is it specifically invented for hula dancers? So the hula dancers know when we pau?
It's a phrase that you see so often, right? Haina ia maiana kapuana, right? Like let this refrain, this puana, this what I'm saying be. Here's the lesson of the story. Here's the moral of the story,
Right.
And then usually the following line is, and this is what it is,
Oh.
right? So that actually starts to come into prominence during the monarchical period. Kalakaua brings back all of this hula, right? He's the merry monarch, right? He brings back all of this hula, and there are these what I think Amy Stillman calls hula kui. It's a structure. It's a certain kind of song where, and you know what it is. It's like you get 2 lines. There's one verse, 2 lines. There's a second verse, 3 lines. Those it's called strophic couplets. That's the term, but it's really just verse, usually 2 or 4 lines. The last verse usually always has that haina ia maina kapuana. There are variations like puana something or heakumako. There's all of these different like versions, but it signals that this is the last verse, and this is the underlying emphasis that I'm trying to say with this mele, right? So yeah, I think it's tied to hula, but it's also just like very specific to a certain type of mele, you know, a certain structure of mele that started in the not started, but became prominent in the monarchical period, Kalakaua's time, and then continues to this day.
Oh, that was a good question, Devon.
Oh, thank you.
That wasn't dumb.
Well, how much of, I mean, in your compositions, I mean, how much of it do you go, okay, this is a good song for haina ia maina kapuana. Here's one where we can do this.
No, yeah, I think for the most part, because there are variations, right? Like I was saying, like it's not only haina, but like there are other common lines that happen at the end of the. So if I'm writing a mele that is in this structure, most likely it's gonna have one of those lines at the end because it's about. I'm gonna quote Kili Rachel with this. It's not about reinventing the wheel, right? It's about knowing that this is the wheel, and the skill is being able to decorate that wheel in your own unique and beautiful way. The skill is not completely creative, start from nothing. It's about, wow, look at this format, look at this template that has been passed down for over a century at least.
And the bugger works.
The bugger work. Look how nice I can make mine. How you make yours? Like that, you know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I had a question before we get to our final question. I have one more question. So Dennis used to always tell me, you know, you should write about your time.
Yep.
You know, because your songs are going to represent your life, and when people look back, they have a footprint of what came before, you know?
Yep.
And I always had a hard time with that because I'm like, you know, my life is so mundane. Like I'm not going out to the forest or whatever. Like I just drive to work.
Paddling a canoe.
You know what I mean? Like
I'm selling houses.
Yeah, play Fortnite. I'm not gonna put that in
pulling
melee, you know?
You're just traveling the world with pure heart and
So
Dennis Kamakani and stuff. You know,
Cash,
so boring, but
so like
just
what
chill,
else,
guys. You and Herbota traveling the world, whatever.
but like he's able to pick stuff out, you know, and make, because even like he wrote a song called Nani Iapana, which is about Japan, right? But how do you extract some of that in your songwriting? Because you're writing hakumele, right, in Hawaiian language songs, but I'm assuming you're putting modern twist on it.
Yeah, is it relevant to today, or are you looking back at the culture? And
no, I completely agree with what you're saying. Dennis Kamukai was saying. It's like we got to write about us because there's plenty songs about what happened before us, and we hope that the people after us gonna write about them too. Because really, like going back to like mele is the ledger of our history, right? You can take away written language and we still get our history because our culture provides for that, right? But I was laughing because it's like, oh, it's mundane. It's like, oh, you ever heard Hene Hene Ko'aka?
That's true.
You ever heard Kaimana Hila? Bro, these are, or Iwaikiki Anu Anu. It's all about like,
just going down to it,
or it's like escapades. You know what I mean? And it's, okay, perhaps it's entertaining.
Maybe you can help John write a Hawaiian song about playing Fortnite.
I wouldn't bash it. I think it's there. You know?
There you go. That's your life right there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more about like I said, like what Kili Rachel was saying. It's not about like trying to like make something completely new. It's about how does this template apply to your life? How does this, and then how do you get to beautify that template to apply to what you are doing right now?
I like that.
You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is nice.
Because Zach's gonna write a story about his wife giving birth.
Oh gosh.
And epidurals.
yeah. Our
and later feedings.
Our pre-conversation took a turn that I didn't know we were going to talk about. Epidurals, okay. I will not write a song about epidurals. I'll let you guys know right now.
I have an idea to switch up the last question.
Okay, all right.
The music, okay?
Okay.
So we usually ask our guests the last question. If you had to choose 3 albums to be on a desert island with, which would it be? But instead, let's do something different. If you have to choose 3 meles to be on a desert island with, what would it be? And can you play one for us?
Okay. That's so interesting because, like, I wouldn't feel limited.
Okay.
I wouldn't feel limited to 3, but I'll try and pick 3.
Okay.
Because I think that's the whole, that's the whole beauty of it, right? It's like, I don't need an iPod or a computer to hold these songs, right? Like, because it's oral, it's just like, it's part of your body, right? Okay, I still don't know.
Trying to buy time.
I know. It's like,
in the meantime, I think Devon has a hard out.
Yeah.
So we'll let you go. But can you pass us the guitars?
Yes. I know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna miss this.
No. I'm gonna sing a John Yamasato cover.
There you go.
I would never, because I'm too nervous.
Oh, come on.
Thanks,
All right. I don't know if these are tuned.
Yeah,
I don't even know what.
Almost.
Okay, they're not bad.
I don't know, John. What?
How about just one then? If you have to bring one.
That's
even worse.
No, like, give us
Your
one.
favorite one. Maybe the one you first learned. Maybe your one you love to play on stage.
I think if I have to like pick favorite songs, before they were my favorite because of how they sounded. But now my favorite songs are because they are attached to certain experiences that I want to be able to revisit, right? Because, and I think that's what's so nice about being able to perform mele and just being understanding of like what mele's potential is to encapsulate experience.
Yeah.
So like if I like, if there's a certain memory that I have, if I tie that to a mele, then I can go back. You know what I mean?
By the way, just for the record, Zach has one of the nicest falsetto voices I've ever heard.
I'm blushing, just not on my face. Sorry, I'm almost there.
It's okay. Hawaii's too.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll be back. Actually, I want to get you on the Hisessions because we do the energy thing. So go on the website.
Shoot.
All of that.
Easy.
Okay, bro.
One song.
Yeah, good.
I don't know. I'm sitting in front of you. I'm nervous. Okay.
By the way, I'm just tagging along. So you just do anything that you normally would do at a gig or something. What's an easy Hawaiian song?
You know how you're OCD about the chair?
Yeah.
I'm OCD about tuning.
Oh.
You don't want to switch guitars. Maybe that one is just kind of sliding out.
No.
Okay, how about this?
I think this one I just tuned it recently.
Okay.
So this is a song I wrote about. I wasn't there, but you remember Mauna Kea? And then they tied themselves to the cattle guard.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there, and I was kind of like, dang, that is powerful. So I wanted to like make sure that like, okay, let's solidify this in a memory. Let's solidify this in a mele, so that I can still see the images that are attached to
When did you write
what
this?
this music is. Like a few days after they did that. So when was this? 2009?
I was gonna say pre-pandemic, so it's gotta be 19.
Yeah, it's
but
right
it wasn't
before-
that, or there wasn't that before.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty recent.
Yeah. Okay, I hope I remember all the words. Ho he no no na pu vai hau kila na kia I mauna moi kea Walava I ka lei o ka lauko I pauku ia mai me ke ali I mai no e hui lokahi Ua malu ia o pulu Na hulu kuna na vivole Oli oli na mele alohaina Aloha kupa ke luananei I ka muhuna manu a malia E hui a mai mai e nā pua I le iho kai o ka lanakina Here's your haina. Haina ka puana wa kaulana Na puhuvai hau kila moi kela Na puhuvai hau kila moi kela
I told you, right?
Got to jam with John Yamasato,
That was
you
awesome.
guys.
See, it's like effortless.
I'm glad you think that way.
Yeah, man. No, that's great.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Mahalo.
Hopefully, we'll see you back when everything is all set up.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Awesome. Okay.
Take care.